Good morning. Welcome, everyone. This is Angela Coulter and
Sarah Sieg Avagnoni.
bringing you this week's Ascended World. Good morning. Sorry, we got into a conversation offline and then we forgot we were getting online. We're like, oh, wait, we should get on.
Right. My connection keeps freezing, so I gotta clear out whatever that is.
Yes. Yeah. So things might be a little spotty, but it might not. We can just clear it out now.
Yeah. All done.
All done.
All done.
So yeah, so there's a lot coming up, and I feel like it's so redundant. We're just saying this again and again, right? There's so much going on, and it's funny that it seems to change shape and form like every week right now. I think she froze up again. Are you there? So we started talking about good morning, Yasmin. Up there you are.
I was like, I missed all that.
I was like, that's okay. I'll just I said good morning, Yasmin, and then you were there. So there you have it.
Yeah. Okay.
But we were talking about the differences. Good morning, Gloria. We're talking about the difference, like how the chaos seems to be shifting forms every week these days, right?
Right.
And we were talking about how the navigation of it. Good morning, Michael. The navigation of it is continuously challenging us to look at things in like different perspectives, like constantly. Like there's no staying in one place for any period of time.
It's like if you continue to look at it the same way, you're going to see it the same way.
Mm-hmm.
So having to shift that perspective and get more creative with how you deal with it, interpret it, manage it. It's so critical right now. You just get lost in the chaos if you can't shift on that on a moment's notice to look at things differently.
Yeah, and it's funny because I saw that happen with my husband this weekend, and he had like this wacky implosion that was very unlike him. But I could tell it was all these little things that he had been pushing away to not look at, and they all just convened in the center. And then he was like, ah! And I'm listening to him like, wow, is this really, good morning, Anne. See, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. All right. You froze up. You keep on freezing a little bit. But anyway, so, it's like these things that I'm like listening to him and I'm going, it's not a big deal. This is like in themselves, all the little things I'm going, okay. And this is so not like him to be so worked up about something. And then I finally realized he lost perspective because it had just all started hitting him all at the same time. And it caused him to start to spin out
Right.
kind of thing. And I said something to him.
It's like you said, the perfect storm.
Yeah. And so I just sort of looked at him and I said, okay. And I just had one comment. And he looked at me and said, and he just sort of looked at me like dumbfounded for a minute. And he goes, oh, so he goes, I think I know how you feel now when you call me one hit wonder and you can't figure something out or whatever, or something hasn't come to you. And I say something and you're like, oh, that was so easy.
Right. Yep.
I'm like, yeah, well, that's the perspective change that we're, Michael says time to accept all the chaos. And it's just a matter of not resisting any. Part of it is not resisting any of it, right?
Right. Well, because it reinforces it and then creates additional chaos on top of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. Especially because we're creating the chaos, right? And the chaos comes from inside of us. And so to me, it's the chaos is coming up to be brought out to, it's only chaos because we allow it to be, right? It's only chaos.
It's a judgment.
Yeah. And we usually judge the word chaos.
Right.
It's something bad. But this started in a conversation we started talking about. I keep on having these dreams consistently every couple of nights, if not every night sometimes, where at least one of my dreams is like a Where's Waldo book, where it's like so much stuff is going on and I have like a focused goal in the dream, and I feel frustrated because I can't, like, okay, so it started that way, that I'd feel frustrated that I can't get there.
Right.
But then the last one that I had that I remembered, it was funny because I looked at the chaos around me and I knew that what I was there to do was getting done. And I was like, well, then I might as well enjoy myself while I'm here, which
Right.
totally changed the flow of everything. And it was like, yeah, nope, I got this. I'm going to enjoy this. I'm not going to bypass this, because I was finding like, oh, I just got to get bypassed it, like get past it. And it's like, oh, no, I'm already there where it's done. I'm getting through all this, and I can just allow it to be enjoyable in any moment.
Enjoy the unfolding.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I've had similar dreams. Last night, particularly, it was a wedding, and it was, I was worried about who was coming and who was the plus one and all this kind of stuff. And it was like, but that's not my problem. It's not my problem. I haven't seen these people in ages. I'd really like to just spend time with them. It was a crazy dream.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. And so I think a lot of us are going through that. And I think part of the reason it feels like chaos in a way that that we're uncomfortable with, is the idea of not being able to, well, it feels like chaos because it's all stuff we're repressing, right? Or we don't feel comfortable with. Up there, you froze again. You're back. Can you see me? Oh, she keeps on freezing up this morning.
yeah, I'm not hearing you. You're freezing up pretty regularly.
So you seem to be okay right this moment.
Yeah.
Again, so let's just clear out that chaos.
I know. I'm sitting here going, okay, we got some chaos going on right here.
What a great, manifestation on that.
Right.
But it's all about, it feels like chaos because it's all stuff that we want to resist. I feel like all little things that we want to resist. So we pretend or control, right? So what happens when you have all these, like, say 50 things that you feel like you're controlling at some level, or you feel like you have to control at some level, and then they all break?
Right. Right.
Because the expanded self says, you want to create this over here, then let me take care of all this.
Yeah, it reminds me of that phrase or that saying that I've heard for a while, talking about multitasking. It's doing a lot of things not really well all at the same time.
Right.
And if you just focus on one, and I feel like in the chaos, if we can just like focus on that endpoint creation or your authenticity or something to anchor you through the chaos, then the chaos kind of just dulls away.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it goes away. You just almost don't notice it. And that's part of being of the earth, being in here, but not of here.
But not, yeah.
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 So I think that's the same, by just allowing it to self out all on its own, while you anchor into your authenticity, your divinity, your wholeness.
And I think part of that has to do with that things have sped up so much now that they're actually starting to reflect that speeding up. Like, we've known it's been sped up, like things are speeding up and change for a long time, but now it's like manifesting in a different speed here, right? So things feel like they're crazy because of that.
Right.
Because because we're dropping all of these creations into our realities like this, right?
Yep.
And then they're having to figure out they're having to find their way through to interact and integrate with each other. And then that's where we feel like, that's where we start feeling like we need to control, right?
Right. And on top of that, there are things that we dropped in ages ago that are now like coming to resolution or disappearing. And it's almost like, wait, I've forgotten about that. And trying to catch up with everything versus just allow it to have its natural flow.
Yes. Michael says it's like a watershed moment of events we've been waiting for. Yes.
Right. Right.
A tsunami shed has that.
Right. Like that phrase, be careful what you wish for. Well, it's all right here, right now. All those wishes that we
Oh,
piled up.
I'll tell you what, this weekend was such an epitome of that. Uh, excuse me, of all these things I set out to say, okay, these are the things to complete, or these are things, that I'm creating this weekend, right? And there was a lot, and it was full, and I could not stop for a moment to think about controlling any of it. Like it was
Right.
from this to this to this to this. Look, stay flowing. Keep your
Right.
eye on keep your eye on the bouncing ball kind of thing. And like last night, I was just like, I don't even know like where this entire weekend went, but it was really full and there was some great stuff in it and it was very productive. But it felt a little bit, hey Sandy, good morning. It felt, like, but if the ego tries to catch up, that's where it starts to feel like chaos, right? It starts
Right.
feeling like it's when the ego starts saying, oh well, I want to have this in this little box and want to have this in this little box. And I think that was what happened with my husband yesterday, because I was just sort of like, are you sure? And I think I asked him, are you sure this is what you're upset about? There's not something you're not telling me? He's like, no, this is what I'm saying, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay. Just like, not to minimize it or anything, but I'm just saying this is not like him to have those things. But I think it was, they all dropped in at the same time. And I was
Right.
just, oh, but look at how awesome it is. And he's like looking at me like, what?
How can you say this is awesome?
Right.
Right.
And then I was like, oh, well, go do the worthiness course because, we're in the middle of that. And that is part of what the ego then tries to manage. The ego tries to manage that worthiness through worthiness. They're saying, oh, I'm unworthy of doing this, or I can't control this, or I can't manage this, or I can't manage this level of stuff, or, or can I? There's all kinds of questioning ourselves. There you are.
Trying to clear it out.
We won't try. We're just doing. We're just doing.
Right. Right.
We're following the bouncing ball today.
Right. Not allowing the internet chaos to infiltrate right here.
And I'll tell you, and it's funny how things, when we choose to believe them, how they're manifesting in front of us too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It was on Mother's Day. It was funny. I said I only want one thing for Mother's Day, and it all fell into place. And I had said that I'd like for my dogs to get along with my daughter's dog, and so we agreed to take them on the walk like we've been doing. And by the end of their visit, they were off leash playing in the house, off leash playing in the yard, and I was like, yes, that's what I wanted. Exactly what I wanted. And I mean, it was hours. And I was like, yep, sign me up for more of that.
Yep. 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 And me too. Like some of the stuff. So there's some things that came up for me, as you and I were talking at the end of the week last week, that I just hadn't even expected to come up to be a possibility in terms of the manifesting creations as I've intended them.
Right.
And I've had to have a full about face adjustment of possibilities of saying, oh, well, am I okay with that? Right. Or
Right.
it's not even asking myself, am I okay with that? It's saying, well, if I'm asking or if I'm creating this, and I've been saying this is what I would desire to create, and I'm leaving my heart open to all possibility, and this possibility got, dumped in my lap,
Right.
well, then there's a purpose for it, whether it turns out, in the direction I want to think it turns out, or it just helps me get a different perspective or clear out parts of the closet that I was not aware needed to be cleaned out, you know, energetically. So it's just, it's the ego wants to say it's tiring. And Sarah froze up again. Wow. Okay. Shh. We're just going to clear this out.
I
There it is.
know. I know. I'm sitting here going, clear, whatever, clear this is, clear, clear, clear.
We haven't had this for a while. Interesting. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah. And so the ego wants to get hassled. The ego wants to get harried and
Right.
say, I don't know how to do this, or this is not what I expected, right? Expectation, we always say, is ego, right? um, Getting online with a clear internet line, that's an expectation. So we can continue talking and continue going on. And hopefully the video is continuing, but sometimes, sometimes it's our connection. Sometimes it's, the connection via Zoom. Sometimes it's Facebook, and we can't
Right.
control that. So then it's just a matter
Right.
of, we just continue on. I continue talk. You continue talk. If we freeze up, hopefully it all comes together on the ends.
Right.
So, and the key is, so when we do that, it's a matter of, we just it's important. So what does it come down to? It's important to stay connected
Right.
to our guidance, right? Because things feel disjointed, they feel harried, they feel, all pushed together in a big clump of clay, right?
Right.
And so the ego, that's what the ego starts to judge, and then starts to panic and start saying, I need to manage. Like, how do I manage this internet connection thing? How do I manage this?
Well, and anytime you're pushed, you want to examine everything and say, okay, where's the problem? So I cannot have these feelings. And that's when you get distracted from your guidance and your authenticity and every, your core essence.
Exactly. Sandy says, I felt the same way about the weekend. It was very full and flew by. Stayed in the flow pretty well and stayed present and enjoying each moment. I joined a 5K event at the park, spur of the moment. I saw you post about that. I thought it was hysterical. I was like, that's so Sandy.
Right.
I didn't know what was going on. Lol. I just went to the park to enjoy nature. It was an awesome experience. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I saw that. And I was like, that's so Sandy. So perfect. Right. But yeah, it's just a matter of staying connected and staying calm and clear and saying, show me the way, like show me
Right.
the step, or what is right now, what
Well,
is
and
there.
be available to hear the answer.
Exactly.
Yeah. Whether it's like we talked about in the beginning, the dreams.
Mm-hmm.
To
And dreams are very indicative right now, and I think that's part of lifting us out of the chaos. Funny though that I keep on seeing it as chaos in the dreams, right?
right.
But it's lifting us out of the chaos to see it from a different perspective. So we might have different illustration in the dream, alliteration in the dream. We have different ways of it being presented to us, so that we can look at ourselves in a creative way through the dreams, so that we can see it maybe in a way that we're blind to it because of all the chaos around us in our day-to-day life.
Right. It's like practice in such a safe space and a space that we already feel anything's possible because it's just a dream.
Yeah. So is this just a dream?
Right. Right.
And you and I both have been playing with this little lucid dreaming thing that we came across, and and it's to me, the thing about, people make a big deal about lucid dreaming. The thing to me has been, like, I can do it sporadically, and my goal is to do it a little more consistently, right? And part of it too is accepting that this can be a dream as well, like that this part is a dream. So if we start to remember that we are in a dream when we're dreaming, then we can start to remember that we're in a dream when we're here.
Right.
So what'd Sandy say? I did have some grief pop up yesterday for Mother's Day and felt some pain, stayed present with it, allowed to move through, didn't resist. Some of it was related to loss of family and prior roles, and some of it was worthiness and self-love issues. Still enjoy the day and allow my kids to share their appreciation for me. Focus on self-love. I got really tired in the evening and then took a nap. I took a nap in the evening, which is unlikely, like me yesterday too. And her dream world is very active these days. Yeah. And sometimes I feel like, when I get really tired suddenly out of nowhere, it's usually because I need to go take a nap to get more clarity on what's going on.
Right, right. I do
moment.
think yesterday was interesting emotions with it being the Hallmark holiday to look at that role of mother, and so much of Facebook was flooded with posts about mothers and mothers that are here, mothers that are gone, and all that. And I felt really disconnected from that aspect of it. And of course, it's like, oh well, is that resistance? And start questioning. Um, but all in all, I thought the energies flowed well through that. So I think that's indicative of where you are with that role,
Right.
so to speak.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because I did not even get onto Facebook until last night to post about today. And so I didn't see most of all that till this morning. And then I was like, oh, I didn't even post anything about Mother's Day yesterday because I wasn't even online. So, but it was nice. I mean, it was really nice. But yeah, I didn't have that either. And so I saw that and I was like, well, I can look at, it's funny. We're looking at a lot of stuff that is the death of certain roles, right? And that could be some of the grief and mourning that some feel, right? Because especially when we start missing people who are not with us. And, but I feel like that it's not just the death of those people, it's the death of the roles that go along with it that we're sort of resolving within ourselves. Like Sandy even said, but it's sort of like, oh yeah, see, I didn't really think of it that way, but yeah. And so I feel like we're mourning the things that we've been attached to as part of these roles and stuff, right? Collectively, when we look at.
Yeah, and if you think about it, the more you're connected to, the less fluid you are, because you're held into a place. So the chaos seems even more chaotic because you can't flow with it.
Well, and if you hold on to, with grief, the past, then you won't allow yourself to flow into what's now, right?
Right.
You hold, you're like, the ego says, no, 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 we can't let go of this because this will go away if I allow myself to be here and now. Right. Versus.
Well, and I've always felt that if you hang on to the grief of a relationship that you believe has ended because someone's no longer in.
Oh, she froze up. I'm looking to see if it's coming across on the other side, and I froze up.
I'm back.
I hear you, but there you are.
Did you hear any of my
I did not. I was hoping that it picked up on the video, but I couldn't tell on my phone. I was watching the captioning.
Right, I know. Yeah. Okay. So what I was saying is if you're stuck in the grief of a person, of a relationship of someone who's no longer embodied here, you don't allow that to move forward and establish that new relationship with them.
Yes. So, yeah. I'm looking to see the words here to make sure that it comes up on the video. Okay. Well, it got to the important point, I think.
Maybe I should just sit and listen today.
Well, it's still coming across and it's still coming together. It's a matter of us just being patient with it. That's all. And that's the whole thing. It's just being patient with the whole thing. What a great example
Right.
here of this.
We couldn't have planned this better.
No. And I always laugh about it. Michael says a lot of energy in what Sarah's saying. Yep.
Really, it's just blowing up Zoom and Facebook.
Yeah. So, and I know a lot of people are going through the chaos. And so I look at, and what's happening from this. So here's another thing to look at, because this is something I was looking at with my husband too, as well as a couple other people I know, is it's starting to manifest in the physical body.
Yes. Yes.
And in crazy things, like ways that we're not sort of seeing it, but like I know several people are having like AFib stuff going on. I know people are having stuff with heart going on that was like that's sort of out of nowhere. Um Weight gain, weight loss, um absent-mindedness, like
Oh, yeah.
distraction.
Well, and digestion upset.
Yes, that's a big one too,
Yeah.
right? Because it gets stuck somewhere.
Or you're just intolerant of things that have never bothered you before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so it's that, like, to me, it's more of a message without looking more into the detail of why you're getting that particular physical symptom, is to allow the flow so that physical symptom just dissipates as you allow the flow to the bigger picture, right?
Right.
So maybe the question really becomes for ourselves is what is there for me to shift so that I'm flowing in all of this? And so then I'm free from needing to create myself physical symptoms of
Right.
being clogged or overwhelmed, or or not flowing completely in all
Right.
manners.
Right.
Yeah, Sandy says she's getting stuck energy in the gut more than usual. Yep. Yes. Gloria says, how about imbalance with walking? Yes. Dizziness has been going on with a lot of people I know.
Right.
With no like explanation,
Yep.
Yeah. So there's a lot, and like right away the mind goes, oh my gosh, I got to control that. Right. Something
Well,
must be
what's
wrong.
wrong?
What's wrong? Right. I have to go and like, whatever. And it's like, okay, well, maybe it's just you coming into staying connected with your flow, staying in that flow of your expanded self, and allowing, and sometimes I wonder if our bodies are just trying to catch up.
Right. Right. Or establish a new equilibrium, as far as the balance goes, because everything around us is shifting and changing, and it's to maintain our balance.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just coming to that new equilibrium. That
yes. Right. Well, look at that literal equilibrium, right? When you're talking about imbalancing and being dizzy and stuff like that. And being like, so like you say, dizzy in physicality, but there's also dizzy in the being distracted or unable to focus, or, what we call ADHD kind of symptoms, or, things like that, losing memory. And it's because we are now at a point of, it's like trust is something that comes up to the top, right?
Right.
Yeah, the Gloria says makes me feel so out of balance, or like I'm gonna fall. Yeah, but that's the whole thing. It's time for us to trust so much that when we have something put in front of us, that it's for us to just flow with it, to accept it. And that's the thing, is to trust our guidance. It's like, okay, so then do this, or be this, take this step, go in this direction. And it might be contrary to everything else that you have done up to this point, but it's a matter of trusting in every step, which is unlike us embodied here. right? So, like me just trusting that I'll just keep on talking and you'll pick up what I'm talking about when you get back.
And I'm back.
We don't have to hear each other, but we have to say to know that we're on the same wavelength of what we're discussing.
Right.
So, I mean,
Right.
there's the trust. There's the trust there about it's all perfect, right?
Yep.
So, so what's our clearing then for today? Our clearing would be like, I trust in every step. I allow the flow of everything manifesting around me. I allow it to manifest. Ooh, I allow it to manifest free of judgment and expectation, right?
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, I allow it all to manifest free of judgment and expectation. And I trust in every step as the perfect step. And I'll change direction as guided, and I trust and all that kind of stuff, whatever, all that. We'll just throw that in there.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, you ready?
I am.
Let's go. Everybody close your eyes, take a deep breath. And we connect outside of separation back in oneness and wholeness and holding ourselves with a vibration where that is our truth and that's where we manifest from and live from and all else falls away. All right. So that's my stomach grumbling, growling at some point. Oh, and Sarah's in and out still, so obviously we're still out there somewhere. I saw interesting little thing. I have noticed a lot lately that I've been seeing a lot of dragonflies suddenly, like a lot of them. And when I was out there, like, and I hadn't really thought about it, but I just have noticed that I've seen a lot lately. And when I was out there, it was almost like I was walking down this path, and because I've seen this on my walking when I walk with my husband, is they sort of come out in front of you and stuff, and I'm like, and it's almost like they were the ones that they're like, yeah, we got this, like, don't worry about this, the placement of all this stuff, you just keep on going, it's taken care of, and it felt like a relief. It was like, okay, yeah, you take that. I'm so happy for you to take that. That was pretty much, it felt really good though, because it felt like not only me, but it was like very collective too, because it feels like we're ramping up again for some massive changing, but like in all these little bubbles that feel very chaotic. So, and it was like, yeah, just trust individually, trust the bigger picture. It was nice. So Michael says, for me, I was about to cross the street and the chaos was the traffic. So when you wait and allow the traffic to pass, it's not so bad. Yeah, actually, it's really funny. That reminds me of when I was walking in the park there like a week ago with my husband, and we were walking up. We were just coming around this corner, and so there's like deer and all kinds of stuff back there, and there's this herd of deer that live back there, and all of a sudden we hear this galloping through the woods next to the path where we're walking, and about 20 feet ahead of us, 3 of the deer just ran out across the path and then across the field into the woods on the other side. And we hear other ones coming up on the side, but it was really funny because all of a sudden you hear this big from one of the deer, and then you heard them just stop dead. And then we kept on walking, and we walked past where the other ones had crossed out. And then we get about 20 feet past that, and then the rest of the herd just crossed. It was like, oh, pedestrian crossing. So sometimes you're the one crossing, sometimes it's others crossing. It was so that's funny that Michael used that about the crossing the street. So maybe we're the chaos on the whole thing. How about you? Okay, now your sound is gone and I don't hear you at all. So Sarah agrees. I'm just going to say. Sandy says it felt awesome. Trust in every step is perfect, whether it's context and not, keep moving and allowing the energy to flow, which will take you to the next perfect step. Yep. Yep. Do you want to try saying something? Oh, no, no sound coming. So really the message is for us to connect out there, get the message. Michael says Sarah's taking a vow of silence. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We're going to sign off. This is Angela Coulter and Sarah C. Gavagnoni bringing you this week's Ascended World. We'll see you next time. Thanks.